Hey Campus Georgia, back in the man cave. Looking at some Imperial knives here. I got two of them. I kind of want to say they got to be cousins. Let's check them out. So here's what I'm talking about. Here's the first one, and you know, everybody knows this guy. See that? Look at that. Yep. Kampking. Pretty good condition. Has the bail, something unusual. I know that back in the day, a lot of people didn't like the bail and they took it off. But generally, in pretty good order. A little bit of rust and things on the blades. Let me open it up for you. And you can see it there. See that? Kind of dirty on the inside. Not a lot wrong with it. This shouldn't be too much cleanup involved in here. You can see it on the blades there. Hopefully it's not too bad. We can clean it up. The nice thing is the blades and everything are in really good condition. Nobody's tried to sharpen them with a rasp or a stone or anything. In fact, it doesn't even look like. They're still pretty sharp. This guy anyway. Now, I said I have two, right? And the other one I thought was, well, this guy's cousin. The lesser known guy, probably because he's overweight. Let me show you what I mean. It's this guy here. Look at that. They come from the same family. I'll show you why. Look at that. It's a Kampking, right? Wow. The reason I got this guy, I think I found these in a swap meet. In fact, at the same swap meet, but I think in different places. I'm not sure. But yeah, you can see it, you know, it has the bail, it has the same tools, the same blade. This guy, a little bit more used, but still in very good order. Same thing again, very little rust. It's on the blades and you know, the inside, the usual places. I love these handles. For old knives, I loved when they did this, an antler look or something. But I have a couple of them that have the same sort of thing, the same idea. Not exactly the same. I have like a fisherman and another one. But they have this look to their handles. Let me show you them together. Here's the Kampking. Here's his cousin. Look at that. They're exactly the same, right? Well, not quite. If you look closely at this guy, he's a little bit bigger. He's also put on a little bit of weight. He's a little bit thicker in the waist here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You see that? Look at that. He's a little bit more bulky. The bolsters are a little different. On this guy, they're bigger. They are a little bit longer. You see that? It's a little bit longer. It looks exactly the same, right? But it's a little bit longer. Same on this side. Now, this one's thinner this way, depth-wise. The Kampking seems fatter. See that? But yet this is wider in this way. They look, you know, they look exactly the same. The tang stamps a little different. Smaller on this one, you can see it there. And on the Kampking, here it is here. And the writing is a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger on the Kampking than on this guy. Also, on the Kampking can opener, it has that can opener on it. You see that? This one does not. Says nothing on there. They're identical. On this side, these are pretty much the same thing, same shape. The awls, you see if I can show you that. The awls are a little different. You've got a little bump on this one here, on the Kampking. This one's flat. See that? And I want to say this awl is a little bigger. it's hard to see because they're not the same distance away from you. But this guy is a little bigger. I don't know what they call this knife. Now, you saw they're both Imperial. I'll put information I found up here. Almost kind of the same thing, but they're not. And if anybody knows what this is called, I suspect it's just a camp knife. Whereas this is, you know, the cousin that is so well known, and that is the Kampking. And, you know, they're both in pretty good condition, but they do need cleaning up. And I am thinking about doing just a leathering video where I'm going to catch up with all my slips and sheaths and things like that. I got so many knives. Oh, by the way, I was talking about the fisherman knife that has that same handle look. See that? This is a colonial, and you can see what I mean. They have that antler look to them. Although this one's way darker, this one is way more pronounced on the antler shape or the pattern. But pretty cool. Don't know what to say. Let's have at it. Okay, here we are. And I'm going to dip these. I've had comments where people asking me what rust remover I'm using. Right now I'm using Rust-Oleum Rust Dissolver. I don't recommend using it. It has acid in it. It has a lot of stuff that you don't want to get on your hands or in your eyes or anything like that. It's extremely strong. You're going to put your knives in there 5 minutes max. So you have to be careful. I prefer this product. 2 reasons. It actually works not as quickly as the Rust-Oleum, but it works. The other reason is it's an all-natural product and you can reuse it. So when I'm done with it, I can put it back into the container and reuse it until it starts to lose its strength, and it's all natural. Getting rid of it is not a problem. This stuff, very hard. I get it from Harbor Freight, and it's not expensive at all. Okay, back to the knives. See, here we go. We got the Kampking, and we got the, don't know. I'm just going to call it the camp knife. As you saw, they're not quite the same age. I'm just going to put them in here, let them soak for 5 minutes, pull them out, wash them off, and clean them up. And let's see where we are. Going to dip them in there and just let them soak for about 5 minutes. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes, so I'm going to just open them up and brush them. I'm really nervous about this stuff, so I don't like to leave the knife in there too long. Unfortunately, I didn't read about it before I got it. Don't be splashing this stuff around. You wear your eye protection. I like to wipe the knife down before I even do the rust remover, just to get any oils or anything like that off. I just use some alcohol and wipe it off. If you have oil or anything on it, stops the Rust-Oleum or whatever getting onto the actual rust. Gonna let them sit there for a bit, another minute or two, and then I'm gonna go upstairs, wash them off with warm water, make sure they're clean, dry them up, and then we'll see what we come up with. I washed them off and wiped them down with some warm water. I just want to get in here and give these a little rub. I really cleans up nicely there. And this guy, got some fine sandpaper I just want to go over the inside here with. Let's see this guy. This guy's pretty clean as it is. One thing about that Rust-Oleum that makes me nervous is look at the color of the blades. I think it's like an oxidation, but it's actually the rusty parts that are going dark. You can rub it off with like flits or something like that and it'll shine up, allegedly. The other thing I noticed on this is if you look carefully, see how it's brown along the edges? See that? And it was like that before. It was just wasn't as obvious. Now that I've cleaned it up, you can see it there. I don't think it's a problem. I just think it's the brown. This is a really dark brown and it's just wearing off. We'll see what happens. And then the Kampking is looking pretty good. I'm thinking just some flits. I think I might use the Dremel to clean up the springs and the liners on the back here. And of course, on here, and I don't know if I want to use it on the blades, but I've got that 600 grit that I want to try on here and on this one, that sort of thing, and just see if we can clean it all up and make it nice and shiny. So there you are. A lot of pitting that I can't get rid of. And like odd marks on it. I don't know what that is, but it looks like it's pitting. But it looks a lot better than it did. So this is the camp knife. And cleaned up pretty good. The snap on these things. Wow. Wham. Wham. I haven't even oiled it yet. So now we're going on to this guy, the Kampking. He's in pretty good condition. I just need to buff him up, clean up the blades. The bolsters look good. And clean up the back. So, gonna use my Dremel again. So there we are that. On this guy, on the blades, if you look, can you see the spots on it there? For some reason, I can't get that off. And I think it's pitting. So I'm going to flitz these guys and let's see how that looks, and then we'll go from there. So here they are here. You can see the older cousin here. Cleaned up okay. The blades had on, I've got fingerprints all over them. But if you look, they do have pitting on it. And that's one of those things I'm not a big fan of trying to get rid of, because you're getting into the steel. But it cleaned up nicely, got all shiny and whatnot. And this, of course, is the Kampking. Surprisingly, the older of the two. And this guy, which is the, I need you to tell me, I would say camp knife, because that's a Kampking and they're exactly the same, except this guy's a little overweight. He's a little bigger and a little bit wider, cleaned up nicely. Same thing again, we have that pitting on the steel. Not a big deal, it did clean up nice and shiny. I do love these handles though. I think they look pretty cool. So there we are. The cousins. This guy is the older one, which surprised me, is the Kampking, and the younger one. You saw the tang stamps on them, so cleaned up nicely, nice and shiny though, and they got their snap back. This one especially has, you hear that? The snap on this is just awesome. There you can see the springs with the liner in between, cleaned up nicely. Like I said, I really like this type of handle on these old knives. And then you got, everybody knows the Kampking. And same thing again, cleaned up nicely, has a little bit of pitting. You can see on the inside it cleaned up nicely. These things have nice big blades on them. And initially, there wasn't a lot of snap on this, but it's coming back. I did oil it. You saw me oil them. And the other ones have good snap. But of course, typically, the blade will be the most used, so the spring will take the most abuse. And of course, the Kampking on it really turned out nice. I like doing this. The problem now is that I have a lot of these I've restored, and they all need sheaths or slips, so we need to get on that before it gets out of control, and I have to do 300 slips. So I'm pretty sure that's what's coming up next. Slips for everybody. These guys, I think, has to have a sheath. I don't think they're too big for a slip. In a sheath on your belt, it's a little bit better. They're kind of heavy to be in your pocket. You will be safe out there, especially with these guys. You know, when you're out camping and you need to do a quick chore or something, you're not paying attention. I do it all the time. So whatever you're cutting something, pay attention. Don't become complacent because you use them all the time. Just saying. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Okay? Hey, man, this is happening a lot. There you go. Like I said, pretty sure I'm going to be doing some leathering. I've got so many of these, and you know, I've cleaned up some other ones which I didn't show you, but I have them to do as well. And you know, I'm going to have to get on that. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing leathering for 6 years. I made these guys all nice and pretty. They need a good carry for them. So very cool. I have a couple of Kampkings, and I have to say this is probably the best one I have. The other ones are pretty beat up, but I'm keeping them for parts. And this was so unusual. At first I thought it was a colonial. I was really surprised to see it was an Imperial, which was very cool. Never knew they did that. I thought they just made the Kampking. Thanks for watching. Always appreciate it. And we'll see you again soon.